So we're in 28. Yes, we are. This is Classy Baron. Oh, wow. Okay. Ding! Right, so here we are in the second round 1v1 of the 1v1 tournament. N1 RVD against Neon. Neon in lovely old mint green. Oh, the north. Going bots air and using the commander to not go for early eco. I wonder why that is. Meanwhile, let's have a look at N1 for double factory straight off the bat. Okay, so obviously people like to go for bot spam on Classy Baron, and I don't blame them. I do exactly the same thing, especially with the way the metal is laid out, especially with the way that there aren't any little bits of terrain to really play around, and so you need the movement speed of these guys early on for raiding. Of course, we're going to have the air superiority game coming into its own very, very shortly indeed, because of course with that many docks you need the bumblebees or just a greater number of docks in order to deal with it. Bumblebees being the I'll start again. Bumblebees being the bombers. You know, for anyone who is new, I should probably define the names of these things. But here we go. Some bots wandering in. Can we get a fabricator pick here? Neon sees it coming and runs away swiftly, moving the commander out to maybe get a shot, but instead just have the odd little pick here and there. Neon spreading his docks out quite nicely around the south here, actually, getting a nice line of vision using, what is it, cover the line or follow the line? One of the two, one or t'other. There we go, we got the vehicle transition there later on from N1. We haven't got any such thing queued up from Neon, who's actually got just one bot factory and 2 air. Oh, that's an interesting disparity. I think once Neon realises that there are 2 bot factories against him, or rather once he sees the sheer quantity of bots around his borders, I think he might think differently about his early build. Ooh, okay, never mind. He beat me to it. Lob's coming up. Can they really do anything now, though? The docks are already in his base. His fabricators are already pretty much struggling. He has got them here alive, which is good, but the rest of his base is just his commander. And he's not using his commander to build that lob, which means it's going to take longer to build. I wonder whether that's because he's using his commander to try and use that for defense at this crucial stage in the game, trying to keep him alive just long enough to get that lob up. But let's have a quick gander over to N1's base here and see what we've got, because we're approaching that vehicle stage there, but he's still just sat there with the 2 bot factories and coming out with an additional few fabricators. I think now he realises that he's got Neon quite so surrounded, he's just going to start spamming fabricators and spam expansions left, right and centre. Look at this. Fabricator, 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 and the T2 bot factory coming straight up. That I wasn't necessarily expecting. Oh, Quitch, brutal. I was expecting Neon to lose, but lose slow. That is so unkind. Kuzaru, thank you for the follow. Quitch. Coming straight in with the hard shot. Then again, the truth hurts. Look at this. I mean, he has got his fabricators just going off in one direction. He's only got a small economy, though, in comparison to N1. Or RVD, whichever you prefer to refer to him as. Once that T2 gets up and the... I wonder whether he's going to bother going for slammers or just go straight in for locusts, because I think just spamming locusts out, assisting them out with the fabricators, I think is just going to end the game much faster than waiting for the slammers to wander over. Coming in with the air superiority now as well. Let's have a look at the army tab disparity there. The army count's actually relatively comparable. Whoa, hello, Ring of Roses. Fabricators trying to survive. We've got more docks coming in. A lack of micro there to replenish them. They still... What is going on here? Yes. RVD saw that as well. He's like, what on earth? What a load of nonsense. Right. There we go. We've got the lobs up. We've got the T2 factory coming up from Neon. Can Neon hold out for long enough? We've got slammers in play now, and that's going to give RVD a bit of a landslide of an advantage here. Swinging the bias straight back into his side of the pendulum fulcrum. I'm just spewing out physics words because I think I know what they mean. There we go. Don't overanalyze it. Just think I'm cool, like you always do. Yes, that's right. Meanwhile, a bit of a lull in action. I think RVD is going to see if he can find any other expansions. He's going to be bitterly disappointed because Neon is a little bit slow on that. Instead choosing to really focus up this T2 factory. It looks like he's stalling based on the speed that it's going up, and indeed that is the case. They're struggling for his metal, and that's because he's not expanding. Come on, Neon. Pag would like this map, apart from the ruins on the north. Yeah. Pag, just pure moon. Pure moon. Unadulterated moon. There we go. We need another lob from you, Neon. Or just slammers. That would be good. But he's actually holding off here. Roads at the poles are annoying. What helps orient you? Okay. Here we go. Here's Neon expanding. Oh, wait a second. You snooze, you lose. There we go. Slammers coming in from all directions now. Neon perhaps realising, I'm going to have a bit of a tough ask to defend against all this. Let's have a look at what's going on in RVD's base as Neon gets totaled. The T2 vehicles up now as well. And more air factories coming out. Going for the T2 economy as well. This is where the snowball begins, or rather gets amplified. So snowball's been rolling ever since, well, ever since the beginning, really, when Neon decided not to go for 2 bot factories, but instead go for air fabricators that didn't pay off. Oh, Quitch again! Brutal. I'm surprised Neon stayed to fight rather than GG'd in the first 5 minutes. Neon, Quitch, is a classy Baron. That is why he is playing to the best of his ability right here. Against RVD, who is apparently an up-and-coming pro. In the words of Palpatine, we will watch your career with great interest. have a look back in the army tab though. Let's have a look at the factory count difference. 11 to 5. To 5. I mean, I'm kind of, you know, there's not a huge amount left for me to say. Slammer's doing the raiding at this point, rather than going straight into the base because there's some follow-up vehicles from the other side. There we go. Look at that, a red South Pole with a green speck. Sums up this match, I think. Come on, Neon, you can win. You can do it. Not with micro like that, you can't, though. How good are Slammer wiggling? You know you can wiggle docks left and right in a 1v1 or 2v2 to keep an advantage. Can you do that with Slammers? I've never really seen people do it. Come on, Neon. Now's the GG. Come on. There we go. Slammer wiggling is glitchy. GG. Kaboom. Good game. Well played by RVD. I think Neon's opening gambit backfired significantly. We've got Zankar versus Ferretmeister because the other game didn't seem to be joinable for whatever reason. There we go. Let's hop that down there. There we go. Nice. Bit OCD about that symmetry, but there we go. Ferretmeister in red on the south spawn. Bots with a 1-1 going into air. Second air as well, so bots air from Ferretmeister. Back up to the north, though. For what on earth is going on there? For Zankar in green. Bots into 1-1 into air. Why is there a bit of a disparity there between them? Maybe it's just me. I think it's just me. Ignore me. It's the best thing to do. As it would seem that they're level pegging. Same up again, Dust from Flub's Macpack. Thanks for the follow, Gobiki. What? How? What? That's not good. What? I need to cast FAF games. I tried learning FAF. I couldn't get my head around it. I was being taught by Oxide, and maybe it was just the stuff going on in my life at the time, but I just didn't have the patience for it. I'd love to cast FAF, honestly, I really would. But currently, I don't think I have the space in my life to actually learn it right now. I'm out pretty much every night of the week at the moment with this or that. Anyway, back to the game. FAF is so boring. I don't know. I don't know. I'd honestly, if I could just sort of sit down and actually soak up understanding of FAF and how to play it and all that jazz, I would, because I think certainly there's a community there that already exists, which will actually have an audience. Although I don't know how I'd compare with people like Guile and what's the other chap who's prolific in that scene. Anyway, matter at hand. Ferretmeister going into T2 bots now. Spamming it up with a couple of fabs. Not going into 3 just yet, but still quick enough as it is. No T2 yet from Zankar. How rusty is Zankar? Folks in chat, can you let me know? Air game there. Currently, excuse me, in the clutches of the Zankar. He's got, what, 3 air factories there in comparison to 2. And Ferret going for a vehicle transition in his base. Not even doing it as a proxy. So are we going to see T2 bots and T2 vehicles mixed up here later on in this game together? Quite possibly. I wonder why. Possibly for the raiding of the bots and the pushing power in this short gap between the bases with those vehicles. Zankar's good and not rusty. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. So Zankar's not rusty, so that can explain this as not luck. There we go. Although that... There we go. Good fab snipe there from Ferretmeister. That's not going to be too fantastic for Zankar, but then again, most of those mechs were sorted out. The bomber deals with those quite nicely as well, so the mechs aren't even successfully raided. First asteroid is in the game. T2 almost up for Ferret. Are we going to see locusts here? I do like locusts. Are we going to see it first and get a nice early locust run in? Especially when the unit count is still relatively low. Locusts are perhaps more efficacious at the immediate outset of a T2 bot factory rather than later on for a cheeky rebalancing. A lot of idle fabs here too now. Ferret does like his fab spam. There we go. Sorting out, not sorting, assisting out those slammers. Gonna get a good army of slammers there, very, very rapidly indeed. And out comes the fabricator, but the air game there is squarely in Zankar. Look at that. Let's have a count. 26 and 3 plays 9 and 4. Yeah, that's the difference there between the two. Another fab pick there for Ferretmeister. He's getting these nice little wins. That fab pick will stop Zankar from expanding to there for the time being, and that would have well, not necessarily propelled Zankar even further, as he is still floating metal, but in the long run, it would have propelled him further. Moving in with our slammers now from Ferret, and that explains the vehicle transition. We've got a spinner in there, and a few spinners as well, which means that Ferret can use the air elsewhere, although he's got a large ratio of bombers to interceptors there. He probably needs to reshuffle that if he can afford to. Certainly if he intends to get back into the air game, because he's not going to do it with a ratio like that. But this here with these slammers for the anti-air is wise. He's going to push forward here. What's there to defend? Only a few slammers coming out now. Can Zankar see it in radar? He can't. And he's thinking, I've got some nice clumps over here. I can sort of move those in, do a bit of raiding. And there is a bit of an air reset again. Chasing Ferret into the base over the comm. Using his nice anti-air to great effect. And away they flee. Thank you for the follow, Swandy. Go around those. Zooming out. Look at Ferret's expansion on the south now, compared to Zankar's, and that I think is not in small part due to Ferret's good sniping of Zankar's fabricators. It's really stopped him, and Zankar hasn't necessarily replenished those fabricators. He's trying to, and he's gradually getting it out. But you know, certainly at this stage, it's that time factor that's quite important. Both asteroids now in the game now too. And in come the slammers. How many factories can they reduce to rubble here? In comes the air, in comes the bombers, over the slammers. Not the slammers, well, the slammers as well, but the spinners is what I was trying to say. Most of those bombers now gone. The second pass is not going to work with that one spinner there. Thank you for the follow, however you pronounce that. Slinger. Night Slinger. Sorry, it's quite small on OBS. And my eyesight is not good. There we go. Air game's still very much Zankar mode. And we don't... Yeah, Ferret gradually building himself up now. We got up to 5 air factories there. No T2 air yet. This surprises me. And we're down to 3 air factories from Zankar. That push there has actually done a lot of work. A lot of work for Ferretmeister. All he needs to do now is a good few favourable engagements in the air, and he's won it back. And just keep up this raiding. Keep up the raid and harassment. But he's got to also remember that there's the middle of the map to raid, not just the base. And there's all of this free metal that Zankar is expanding to so far, pushing himself up and closer to Ferret's economy. Welcome to the family. Put on your slippers and grab a scone. I don't stream enough to have a branding yet. As I say, I have a very busy life at the moment. Although with my new equipment, I plan to maybe start doing audiobooks and narrations of an evening. So watch out for those. If you're interested. I'll probably be starting with something like, I don't know, 1984 or something. Because that book is fantastic. Watch this space. Righty-ho, so we're getting similar air counts now, still favouring Zankar, and I think Ferret probably wants to back off a bit. Ooh, ooh, this is good. That was very nice. Zankar not paying attention to the air at that split moment in time. Ferret now running over the base. No! What are you doing? No, when you're trying to fight air back, that's not what you do with your air. Get a few fireflies and do that. Don't use your whole air force to fly over potentially Galata-ridden cities. That's not a good idea. And from what turned into a good little lucky micro peel there for the air game, turned into a bit of a, you know, negated attack, so to speak. Or negated rebalancing. Locusts coming in though. Let's have a wonder. Over they go. Let's watch the damage that they do. In the meantime, though, we have got some pushes coming out from Zankar. We have got air fabs trying to do what they can. The locusts can outmaneuver the bumblebees, but they're not being microed. Ferret, what are you doing? You've got locusts, you've had the surprise advantage, and you've thrown it away. Thrown it away. Oh, and there we go. That's what he's been building up towards. There's the air game win, and what? Zankar throwing in the towel there. Let's have a look at the army tab and see just how bad that had got. To be fair, Zankar really didn't have much of a ground force. I think most of it being bombed into submission there was perhaps what made him think, yeah, okay. So there's his ground force. Looking at the army counts there, so he's already behind a bit. Trying to deal with the locusts over there. Didn't manage to build himself back up from the first push there. Trying to get more air factories. Didn't have the economy Didn't get T2 economy in his base, really, until quite late. Excuse me. And there's the bombing of the entire force that Zankar had... Effectively, Zankar's life savings bombed into pretty much submission there. You see... Yeah, there we go. So Zankar's expansions got quite nicely raided around the back there, which would have contributed. But look at Ferret's base. T2, 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 T2 economy. That will explain it, but Zankar now out of the tournament. In the losers bracket. That pushes Ferretmeister against Princess Fox, and Flub will be playing That Son of a Broom. Both of these games on a Safari. Don't go anywhere. This is Amazon Safari. And this is towards the end of the losers bracket. And the 1 versus 1 Tornamuno. Where are all these words coming from? I have no idea. Righty-ho. So... Flub in pink on the south, signature pink. I don't think this will be very F, and I will need much I. What? What? Can anyone decipher that for me? Flub going into double bots into air after... Or rather, meanwhile, That Son of a Broom going bots double air and then into the water there with the naval factory earlier on. And Flub ostensibly at the moment, although both players actually now Flub queued up the naval factory both. For that, never mind. I just need to keep retracting what I'm saying, don't I? As these players adapt to what they're doing. They're making my life hard. Luck and fun. Oh, it's an L rather than an I. Ooh, that would explain it. Right, well, we've got some fireflies. Finally some scouting. Don't see fireflies all that often in high-level play. I should see much more of them. But this is Amazon Safari, and usually it's the T2 bots and the T2 naval that seals the deal. Sometimes you get a T2 vehicle push and pull in the middle here, push and pull tug of war. But quite often you tend to see a naval force of some description conglomerating in this pond here, so keep an eye out for that. T2 bots already on the go from That Son of a Broom. Look at that, wasting no time. 3 fabbers on it as well, so he wants it up and quick. Flub with an idle commander. Flubberino. Flub, flub, flub. Flub. There we go. Gosh. An aggressive T2 versus an idle commander. Doesn't bode well for Flub. Not by a long shot, but it's Flub, so he can pull it back. If anyone can, it'll be Flub. We will have to keep watching and find out. So I'm trying to do a little bit of raiding there, managed to get a spark in. It's not really worth it at that stage. The T2 bots are up. I hope to see locusts early from that. I want to see locusts very, very early indeed. I think that's what's really needed here. There we go, flub into the water there. Still very centralized, compact base. That's the word I was looking for, compact. I don't know. Was that the word I was looking for? I don't know. Broom yet to go into the water. This surprises me. Perhaps he'll go into the pond rather than the ocean. We could see that Flood tried to queue up some stuff in there. There we go. What did I say about this pond being important? But the air from Broom, Flood needs to try and claw it back. Flub in the water though with all the narwhals, so that negates Broom trying to use the air over the naval. That's not going to happen. He needs to start factoring in a few more bumblebees. But we've got the slammers out on the field from Broom already. Flub's going to realise, wait a second, slammers? That's not good. There we go, into vehicles, so perhaps we're going to see the T2 vehicles from Flub instead. Doc's having to back off a little bit, they're not going to survive, but that's okay. Flub will have more fabbers in the not too distant. There we go, a few more coming up already. And going for the Trico as well, not necessary because he's floating, so now he's just eating trees because, I don't know, he's hungry rather than because he actually is starving. You know, it's like you pop open a pack of Pringles and you eat a crisp because you're like, yeah, I need a snack. And then you have another one because, yeah, it was tasty and I'm indulging. And then you have another one just because, you know, you're just sort of, you know, your self-control is lacking. Decidedly so. So, what can we deduce from Flub? He has no self-control. Don't know quite how that logic leap works, but there we go. Up into the T2 vehicles there. He needs to reclaim the trees, so that'll further delay it just that little bit more. Will it give that son of a broom an advantage? I don't know. That son of a broom is focusing on this T2 push, and he's not doing anything else. Look at his base. There's nothing else here. There's maybe some expansion around this side. How much is he going to manage to get it to work, though? He needs to pop up some factories around here to... See Daisy. Ah. Flub, what did we tell you about the big red button? We got completely knocked off kilter by the T2. Yeah, there we go. I wanted to try something new. Well, that was very effective. Flub is just like, yeah. Double bots is not the strat on this map. I don't know, I've seen double bots before, but really you want to get into the water as fast as possible and get up to T2 as fast as possible, be it bots or vehicles. Either which way suits, and then follow it up with some T2 air later on.